Stop for a moment, before you scroll, before you celebrate, before you assume this message is for someone else. This is not just another Christmas video. This is not information for your mind. This is an interruption for your soul. Because this Christmas, Jesus is not asking for your tradition. He is asking for your attention. He is calling not the crowd, not the perfect, not the religious. He is calling you. Christmas is not the invention of humanity reaching toward God. It is the moment God moved toward humanity. From the beginning, mankind searched for meaning through rituals, sacrifices, and laws, yet the distance between heaven and earth remained. Christmas declares that God did not wait for humanity to climb up to him. He descended. He stepped into time, into flesh, into weakness, not as an idea or symbol, but as living reality. The eternal entered the temporary. The infinite clothed himself in limitation. This alone reshapes how we understand God. He is not distant, silent, or unreachable. He chose to be present. He chose to be known. In the birth of Jesus, heaven touched earth without fear, without hesitation, without condition. God did not send a messenger to explain love. He became love in human form. Every cry from the manger was proof that God was no longer far away. He walked the same soil, breathed the same air, felt the same pain, and experienced the same struggles. This was not a strategy, it was compassion in motion. Christmas reveals that God does not save from afar. He saves by entering the very reality that enslaved humanity. The silence of 400 years was broken not by thunder, but by a child. Power arrived quietly, yet nothing would ever be the same again. God stepping into humanity means that no human condition is beneath him, no wound is unseen, no darkness is ignored. He stepped into hunger, poverty, rejection, and fear to declare that divine love is not theoretical. It is personal, it walks with you, it bleeds with you, it stays with you. Jesus did not come to decorate religion or to improve moral behavior. He came to restore what was lost. Humanity did not need a reminder to behave better. It needed a rescue from separation. Sin fractured the relationship between God and man, and no tradition, no sacrifice, no law could repair it. Jesus entered the world to do what rituals never could. He came to heal the broken connection, to reconcile what had been divided, to restore life where death had taken root. From the moment he was born, restoration began. The sick were healed, the rejected were embraced, the sinner was forgiven, and the hopeless found purpose again. His presence rewrote destinies. Jesus did not ask people to fit into a system. He restored them back to their original design. He touched lepers when society avoided them. He spoke to sinners when religion condemned them. He forgave before judgment, healed before instruction, and loved before correction. This is restoration, not entertainment. Entertainment distracts, restoration transforms. Entertainment fades, restoration remains. Jesus did not come to give people something to celebrate once a year. He came to give them life that would never end. His miracles were not performances, they were signs of a kingdom restoring order to chaos. His teachings were not speeches, they were keys unlocking hearts imprisoned by fear and guilt. Where shame ruled, dignity returned. Where despair dominated, hope was reborn. Restoration means returning humanity to communion with God, to peace within the soul, to purpose beyond survival. Jesus did not come to make life comfortable, he came to make it whole. He came so hearts dead in sin could breathe again, so spirits crushed by the weight of the world could stand upright, so love could replace fear at its root. His birth announced that restoration had begun and nothing would stop it. The manger is not a romantic symbol, it is a revelation. God chose a feeding place for animals to announce his arrival to the world. This was intentional. The manger declares that God does not wait for perfect environments or holy platforms to draw near. He enters mess. He steps into simplicity. He reveals himself where no one expects him. In that humble space, wrapped in cloth and laid among straw, heaven showed its heart. The nearness of God is not measured by grandeur, but by presence. The manger tells every broken soul that God is not intimidated by poverty, weakness, or rejection. He did not arrive in a palace guarded by soldiers, but in a stable open to shepherds. This means access was never meant to be limited. From the first moment Jesus was reachable, anyone could come. The lowly were invited before the powerful, the ignored before the honored. God made himself small so no one would be afraid to approach him. The manger reveals that divine closeness does not require perfection. It requires humility. It shows that God desires intimacy, not distance. He chose proximity over prestige, closeness over control. The manger speaks silently yet powerfully. God is with you, not above you looking down in judgment. He is near enough to touch, to hear, to know. The warmth of that stable carried a message deeper than words, that God's love is not reserved for sacred spaces, but enters ordinary life. The manger became the meeting point between heaven and earth, proving that God's presence is not confined to temples or traditions, but moves freely toward the human heart. Tradition can preserve memory, but it cannot produce life. Over time, sacred moments can become routines, and rituals can replace relationship. This is why salvation, not tradition, stands at the center of the message. Tradition may remind people of God, but salvation reconnects them to him. Many celebrate the season without encountering its meaning. They honor the story but miss the Savior. Salvation is not about maintaining customs. It is about transformation from within. Humanity's greatest need was not another ceremony, but deliverance from separation, guilt, and spiritual death. Jesus did not come to establish a festival. He came to rescue humanity from what it could not escape on its own. Tradition can decorate the surface, but salvation rewrites the heart. It restores communion with God, cleanses the conscience, and renews the spirit. Without salvation, tradition becomes empty repetition. With salvation, even the simplest moment becomes sacred. The message of Christmas confronts this reality. It calls people beyond outward observance into inward renewal. Salvation is God's answer to human helplessness. It is grace replacing effort, mercy replacing merit. No human action could bridge the gap that sin created, so God himself became the bridge. This is why salvation cannot be inherited, performed, or earned. It must be received. Tradition may tell you about the light, but salvation brings you into it. Tradition may explain forgiveness, but salvation applies it. Salvation means freedom from bondage, peace with God, and life restored to its original purpose. It is not an accessory to faith, it is the foundation. Jesus did not come to make people more religious, but to make them alive again. Where tradition ends, salvation begins. Where routine fails, grace steps in. This is why the message remains urgent, personal, and eternal. Without salvation, Christmas becomes a memory. With salvation, it becomes a turning point. The call of Jesus did not end with the first Christmas. It did not fade with history or disappear with time. The same voice that spoke into darkness still speaks into hearts today. Jesus is not a figure of the past. He is a living presence calling people by name. His call is not loud or forced, yet it carries authority and love together. He calls through moments of stillness, through conviction in the heart, through an unexplainable longing for something more. Many try to ignore it, drown it with noise, or postpone responding, yet the call remains. Jesus calls those who feel unworthy, those burdened by regret, those who believe they have gone too far to return. He calls not because people are ready, but because they are needed. His call reaches across cultures, generations, and circumstances. It is not limited by language or background. Whether in success or failure, joy or despair, his invitation remains the same. He does not call people to impress him, but to know him. He does not demand perfection before relationship. He calls people as they are, not as they pretend to be. This call is deeply personal. It confronts the heart quietly yet persistently. It asks for attention, surrender, and trust. Ignoring the call does not silence it, it only hardens the heart. Jesus continues to call because love never gives up on the one it desires to save. His voice still interrupts lives, still awakens consciences, still draws souls toward truth. The call of Jesus is proof that grace is active, mercy is available, and the door remains open. Responding to the call of Jesus is not a small decision, it is a complete turning of direction. Transformation does not begin with behavior change, but with surrender of the heart. When a person responds, the old loses its authority and the new begins to take shape. Chains that once felt permanent begin to loosen. Fear no longer rules as it once did. Responding means allowing Jesus to redefine identity, purpose, and direction. Transformation is not instant perfection, it is a new life taking root. The heart that responds becomes sensitive to truth, receptive to correction, and hungry for righteousness. Responding to his call brings alignment with God's will, not by force but by desire. The Spirit begins to work from the inside, reshaping thoughts, renewing the mind, and softening what was hardened. Transformation replaces emptiness with meaning and confusion with clarity. Where guilt once dominated, forgiveness brings peace. Where shame once whispered lies, grace speaks truth. Responding requires humility because transformation cannot happen while pride remains in control. It demands trust because the path ahead is walked by faith, not certainty. Yet in this response, life finds its true direction. Transformation restores what sin distorted and fear suppressed. It reorders priorities, reshapes values, and redirects desires. Responding to Jesus brings freedom not from responsibility, but from bondage. The call invites people into relationship, but the response releases power to change. This transformation touches every area of life: thoughts, relationships, decisions, and purpose. It does not remove struggles, but it provides strength to endure them. Responding to his call means no longer living divided, torn between old habits and new hope. It means stepping into a process where God patiently rebuilds what was broken. Transformation is the evidence of a living response, not a spoken confession. It is the unfolding work of grace shaping a life surrendered to truth. Christmas is the moment heaven refused to stay distant. God stepped into humanity not as an idea, not as a symbol, but as a living presence. The manger revealed his nearness, proving that no broken place is too low for his love. Jesus did not come to entertain religion or decorate tradition. He came to restore what sin destroyed, to reconnect what was separated, to bring life where death had ruled. Salvation stood at the center because humanity did not need another ritual, but a Savior. The call that began in Bethlehem did not end there. It continues today, reaching hearts across time, calling the weary, the lost, and the searching. And when that call is answered, transformation begins. Chains loosen, identity is restored, and purpose is awakened. This is what Christmas truly is: God near, salvation offered, Jesus calling, and lives changed forever.